Hey, it's John Nemo, and I want to share basically the best email of all time. This was such a nice note. So, HJ Chamas, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. He sent me this incredible note. And I have a link to it. I'll link to it in the show notes and everything. And I've shared it on our website and everything as well at nemomediagroup.com. But he said, John, I've wanted to write this message for a while. This is an email I got. He said, back in 2022, I picked up LinkedIn Riches, which is my book, and you can get it for free. Hopefully you got it for free, HJ. But I give it away for free on my website, nemomediagroup.com, linkedinriches.com. It should be in the show notes. The whole book's in here for free. LinkedIn Riches, if you don't know, is basically my whole blueprint on how to get 5 and 6 figure clients from LinkedIn. A to Z, nothing held back, every framework, every strategy, everything. So he said, back in 2022, I picked up LinkedIn Riches and it completely changed my trajectory. He said, I built my entire business, Authority Publishing, by applying what you teach about using LinkedIn to serve a niche audience and offer genuine value. Here's a cool part. He said, every single client I've ever had came from LinkedIn following your approach. Now, what's crazy is I've never worked with HJ. I didn't even know he had the book. I didn't even know he existed. This is the power of content, right? And of somebody implementing tips. This is somebody taking the free tips in this book and literally building a whole business from scratch and getting every single client. And that's part one of this, is just the power of seeing people do that, right? And even though some people might be listening and go, well, wait a minute, like, how is this a good thing if HJ hasn't spent a bunch of money with you and been a done for you client and stuff? Well, dude, because he gave me like the best testimonial ever that you're listening to. And I'm sure he's referred me tons of business and would, because he's a great example of somebody that took the free tips and implemented them and had massive success. When people do that, and this is an example of why giving away your best tips for free matters. Even if somebody is like HJ, where they do it and have all this success on their own without giving you direct money for done for you or buying courses, these folks become your best salespeople. They become your best referral sources. You're never going to run out of people that say, hey, I loved everything in the book. I don't want to do it myself. I don't have time. Can I just hire you? Right? There's going to be always a percentage of people that take your free tips, have a ton of success. Great. They become your biggest fans. They refer you business. They sell you without you even knowing it. So to finish the rest of his email, HJ says, then I watched your single best marketing strategy training, one of the free trainings I do, about books being the best business cards. He said, it hit me even harder. You said books are the single best content marketing machine ever built. He said, and you're right. Well, thank you, HJ. He said, that idea became the foundation of everything I do. He said, today, our company helps coaches and consultants publish and launch best-selling books that position them as an authority in their field, and then they use those books to generate warm, qualified leads. Thanks for the inspiration and for being the spark that started it all. Dude, that's amazing, right? And I want to really unpack a couple lessons from HJ's story, right? One is obviously taking action and implementing. We have a lot of us, myself included, we're addicted to education, but we don't really like implementation. We love watching another YouTube video. We love attending another webinar. We love downloading another free template. We love listening to another podcast, but we don't want to do any of the work, right? So implementation is key, right? Ideas without execution are worthless. They're just ideas. So that kudos to HJ for implementing. But the other thing that he talked about that I wanted to unpack a little bit more today is why books? Like, why are books? And I've written, dozens of different books by now. Why are books the best business card ever? Why are they the best lead generation tool on earth? And it's very simple. And again, I explain this all the time, and I talk about it in previous episodes, but whether you write a full-length book, which would be like 50 to 100,000 words, right, hundreds of pages, or if you do what we do with a lot of our done-for-you clients on the LinkedIn lead gen side, if you write a short book, 3,000 to 5,000 words, which is about a 10 to 15 page PDF, either one works really well. So the number one reason books are the greatest, lead generation item on earth is they have such perceived value, especially a full-length book. If you do a full book, having it on Amazon, literally when I started, I wrote a book and people would be like, yeah, he literally wrote the book on LinkedIn. He literally wrote the book on LinkedIn lead generation, LinkedIn riches. So you have this authority that immediately comes with being an author. That's one thing. But what's more important is the content of your book. And to give you a very simple formula, very high level of what goes into a great book, whether it's a full length book, whether it's one of these shorter ebooks that we do for clients, 50% your story, your journey, your personal stuff, 50% your best tips, tools, techniques, strategies, frameworks, examples. So why that split? Why is it 50% your personal story and 50% the tools and techniques? And I see people all the time push back and go, well, nobody really cares about my story. Come on. No. Like, they just want the tips. Well, here's the problem with that. If you do a book that's only tips, then it's just generic. AI could have written it, right? If it's just frameworks and tips, there's no connection to you. There's no connection to your brand. It's just information. It's a commodity. There's no emotional juice behind it. So what happens is you're not really important to people. You're not memorable. When you tell a good story, which is your story, your journey, people connect to that. I say this all the time to clients. People need a narrative to attach to you. People need a narrative to remember you by. So for example, in my book, LinkedIn Riches, I start with the narrative that you can remember me by. I had a safe 6-figure day job back in 2012. I had 3 young boys under the age of 10 at home with my wife, and I quit. I had one client. I had enough money for 30 days. We had about $50,000 in credit card debt and no savings because I am nothing if not a fantastic planner. And I quit. And I just threw caution to the wind and I left that job. And I also had a plan, which was I saw an opportunity with LinkedIn to go get more clients. And so within 90 days, using LinkedIn and using the techniques that I still use today that we use with our clients, I was able to get 6 figures in new business in 90 days, replace my day job, never look back, right? It was a crazy story, right? And my passion behind it was I was working a corporate job and it was killing me because every day I would be missing out on our boys. I think at the time they would have been like 4, 2, and like 8 or something like that. They were just so little. And they would leave me voicemails at work and I still have them. In fact, I put them in the audiobook for LinkedIn Riches. If you want to hear it, they would call me at work at the day job, at the corporate job. Dad, what are you doing? When are you coming home? Here's what I did today. And I decided it's worth taking a shot to build work around my life instead of the other way around. I can always go back and get another day job if this fails, but I want to try a job where I can work from home. I can kind of build it around the kids' schedule. And that was the whole premise of Nemo Media Group, right? And so that's 50% of this book is my story, my passion, my journey, tales from the trenches, the roller coaster ride that ensued, right? All the obstacles I had to overcome. And then the other 50% of the book is, and here's what I learned. Here's all the best techniques. Here's all the best LinkedIn lead gen strategies. Here's the best ways to get a client-facing profile. Here's the exact 1-sentence message that immediately qualifies leads for you on LinkedIn. So all my best stuff is in here. HJ, he took all the best strategies in here, implemented them, and built a successful business on his own, right? And then he took it even further and said, you know what, books are where it's at. I'm going to actually partner with people that have a good story, have a good career, but don't want to write a book. We'll write it for them and help them use it to get clients. And so the other great thing about publishing a book, whether it's a full-length book or even just an ebook, is now you can use that as kind of evergreen content. So the way that it translates over to LinkedIn for us when we're doing a done-for-you LinkedIn lead generation service for a client is literally going, step 1 is you use your personal LinkedIn profile and get that all client-facing. If you need help, right, I'm holding up the ultimate LinkedIn profile template. You can get that for free. Just go to linkedinriches.com or nemomediagroup.com. Those are our 2 websites. Click on free. All the books are free. The ultimate LinkedIn profile template is free. It's a fill-in-the-blank template to get a really good client-facing profile. That's step 1. Use your personal profile. Step 2, use LinkedIn search. Preferably sign up for the paid version called Sales Navigator. Build lists of your ideal clients. Here's the exact job title, the type of business, the industry, how many employees, where they work, where they live, whatever it is that you need, revenue numbers. And then you can have these lists of your ideal prospects. Then you reach out to them one-on-one. I call it digital door knocking. But every neighborhood that you go in, every house, the owner has this exact job title, this role, this company, this type of industry. So it's very, productive door knocking because you know exactly what it is. And what I do is, you reach out one-on-one to each of these people with one sentence on LinkedIn through a DM. Hey, can I send you a free copy of my book, LinkedIn Lead Generation for Business Coaches? Hey, can I send you a free copy of my book, LinkedIn Lead Generation for Franchise Consultants? Hey, can I send you a free copy of my book, LinkedIn Lead Generation for Accountants, Bookkeepers, and CPAs? Because what I've done is I've taken my main book, LinkedIn Riches, and I've done a chicken soup for the soul thing where I've done branched off versions of it. So LinkedIn Riches for Business Coaches and Consultants, it has all the main lessons from LinkedIn Riches, but it adds a bunch of content specific to business coaches and consultants. How to price your services, how to structure your offers, how to qualify leads, how to close deals, how to, position your brand to separate you from other coaches. Same thing with the LinkedIn for Franchise Consultants. Here's specific examples and stories of franchise consultants and how we position them on LinkedIn and what went into their profile and what works best and what types of, corporate executives, worked best on LinkedIn for targeting. So again, the more you can niche your book to a couple of audiences, the more successful you're going to be on LinkedIn. And what you do is you offer it through one sentence. Hey, would you like my best free tips on LinkedIn lead gen? Would you like a free copy of my book about leadership at healthcare institutions? Whatever it is, right? Whatever the topic is. And once people say yes, you deliver the free book, right? Whether it's a big full book, and I give away the whole digital book. You can get the Kindle file, a PDF, you can get the audiobook for free. Or if it's a small PDF, 10 to 15 pages, it's going to be well written, designed, good storytelling. Again, 50% your story, 50% your framework, your tips, your techniques. Once somebody reads your book, they become hyper qualified because they've spent all this time getting to know, like, and trust you by reading your story. Think about your favorite authors, your favorite books, right? Especially if you've read nonfiction or business books. Think about, wow, I'm so inspired by this story. I really feel like I know the author now. How cool would it be to meet him? How cool would it be to talk to him? How cool would it be to ask him? Because I feel like I know them after reading their book, right? So I literally hired my business coach back in 2012, who I'm still with, because I randomly found his book on Amazon. I liked the title. I was looking for books on marketing. I read this guy's book. I fell in love with both his story, his journey, his sense of humor, his personality, which was 50% of the book. And I loved the other 50% of the book, which was his best frameworks, tips, marketing strategies. So basically, then I saw he did coaching and I was like, take my money. Where do I sign up? Please take me as a client. That's the kind of quality you'll get with prospects when you give them a book that's well done. If they read it and go through it and they want to learn more because they have these problems that your book solves, that's where they're going to reach out to you and say, yeah, I loved your book. I love your story. I can totally relate to the fact of A, B, and C about your life. And I need help in these areas that you outline in the book. I love your frameworks. I just don't want to do it myself. Can I just hire your company to do it for me? Right? You either get people doing that or you get people like HJ who are like, hey, I read your book. I had all the success. Thank you so much. How can I repay the favor? You can say, great, leave me a testimonial, write me an Amazon review, tell your friends, and they will refer you business. So all that to say, best email ever. Thank you, HJ. I love sharing that story. And if you haven't already, look at creating a book. We obviously do it for clients. HJ has a full company. I love integrating it with lead generation and LinkedIn. So make sure you're doing that. If you want to learn more about our end of it, obviously just go to nemomediagroup.com. You can get all the free resources, learn more about the done for you services. And yes, tell your story, create a great book. It is the best lead generation tool on the planet. So there you go. We'll see you soon on another episode.